I'm an engineering manager. I've interviewed a lot of graduate engineers on Excel, and I thought it would be a good idea to make a video on a beginner's guide to Excel. Let's get started. To get started, just click on the icon for Excel. This is our home page, and if you go and click on New, there are lots of templates that can get you started. For example, it has got a monthly company budget here that you can select, or you can just search online. For example, let's search for budget and then press enter. And here you can see many more templates just appear and all for free. To open one, all you need to do is just click on it, and then if you click create, it will create a workbook based on that template. To learn basic of Excel, it's better to start with a new blank workbook. So go to new and click on blank workbook. Now that we are in a workbook, let's first start with the terminology. First thing to learn is the layout. On the top here, we have various different tabs. So these are called tabs. Some of these tabs you might not have. There is a special way to turn these tabs on and off, but if you don't have those tabs that I have, you don't have to worry, because this is basic, so you would not need them. So each tab would have a ribbon, and each ribbon consists of various groups. For example, if I go to the home tab, I'll get to the home ribbon. And the home ribbon, you can see there are lots of various groups, like a clipboard, font, alignment, number, and each group can have further more options. If you click on this corner, you can get more options for that group. Let's call this corner our launch button. As you can see, not all the groups have a launch button. Is because Microsoft was able to fit various functions of that group in the available space, but there are more functions in some of the groups that Microsoft couldn't fit in, and hence they have provided this launch button to access them. Now that we know how to access various different functions, let's understand where can we use these functions. This is the area where these functions would be utilized, and this is called spreadsheet. We can have many spreadsheets. At the moment I got one, but if I click on the plus button, I can create more sheets. So I can have a lot of spreadsheets, and if I click on the first one, I will go to the first sheet. Each sheet consists of columns which are in alphabetic order, placed horizontally from left to right. From A all the way you go to Z, and then from Z you will go to AABB and beyond. It can be really very long, and you can use this scroll bar to come back to the beginning. And here we also have rows which are placed vertically in the downward direction, starting from 1 and can go very long way. So a sheet consists of columns and rows. What about if I click in here? It creates a green box, and that green box is the intersection of a column and a row, and it's called cell, and every cell has got a unique name. This cell that I've selected is called C6 because it's on column C and row 6, so it's unique, like a matrix. So if I select another cell, this is on column F on row 11, hence it's called F11. How about if I would select more than one cell? Let's select a few rows and few columns. This selection is called range, and every range also has got a unique name. The name of this range is the first cell that we select in the top left corner, which is called C7 through F12. So the name of this range is C7 through F12. So to write it, all you need to do is write C7 colon. Colon is a symbol for true, then F12. So we put the left and then press enter, and this is a range that we have defined. You can just delete it by clicking on delete on the cell. So now we have learned in a sheet about columns, rows, cell, and range, and various different sheets in a workbook. To help you to learn Excel better, let's start with an example. Let's say we want to create a spreadsheet of our music collection. In order to do that, click on cell A1 and let's type music collection, then press enter. You can see here as if music collection, the word collection is split between cell A1 and cell B1, but that's just an illusion. Both these words are actually just in cell A1. So if you click on cell A1, in here it will say what is the value of cell A1, which is just music collection. But if you click on cell B1, its value is nothing, it's empty. So in order to make it to display better for our understanding, you can adjust the column width. In order to do that, move your cursor right in between the two columns. You can see the symbol has changed. When you do that, it shows us two arrows in either sides. One way is that you can pull it and expand it. A better and more efficient way that I use all the time is to bring your cursor in between the two columns and double click on it, and it automatically will adjust the column width to get any words fitted in any of these rows in column A to fit in. It makes your Excel to look much more tidy. You can do the same with the rows. You can expand the rows, as well as you can double click to make it automatically fit. So how we can navigate from one cell to the other cell? The way that I've been using so far was to move the cursor. Moving cursor is useful if you want to move from one cell that's quite far away from the other cell. What if you want to enter data in a vertical downward direction? So all you need to do that is to press enter, and then you can just adding values and pressing enter. This helps you to go to the next row downward direction. But if you want to come back up and change some of your entries, you hold the shift and press enter, and it will move back, and you can just change the data. How about if you want to move to the right side, which means to the next column? All you need to do is to press tab. Keep pressing tab and you will go to the next column. If you hold shift and press tab, it will come back one column. In this way, without moving your fingers from the keyboard, you could enter data as well as navigate on the spreadsheet. Another way to navigate on Excel is using your arrows. With arrows, you can go up, down, left, right. But it means that you have to move your finger away from the main part of the keyboard. So let's delete all these and enter some real data. So the type of our data is for the music collection. Now click on cell A2 and let's give some description of the data that we want to enter. I will start with artist, then press tab, album, tab, released, tab, value, enter. As you can see in this example, after you press the value and you press enter, it understands that the first data we want to enter is for the artist. Enter doesn't bring us right below the value. So Excel is quite clever to understand where our information would go. So now we put some data, artist Ed Sheeran, album Divide, released 2017, value $5, enter. But you can see I have made a mistake here on the spelling of Sheeran. It should be with double E. If I click on the cell and try to correct the spelling, it overrides what's written there, which is not what we want. So there is a difference between being on the cell or being in the cell. So if you're on the cell and then you type anything, it will override the information that's there already in the cell. So in order to access inside the cell, all you need to do is to double click there. Then you can use your arrow to move across the cell, get to the part you want, change or add the new value, and then press enter. But if I realize that the cost was not 5 and 7, I can just go over the cell and enter. I don't need to double click because I'm changing the whole value of that cell. But if you want to just change a part of the value, like instead of 2017, double click, move your cursor to the end, remove 7 and enter 8, and then press enter. Now I will quickly enter a few more data into our music collection. Each of these data I've entered in each row is called a record. So what can we do to make it easier for people to read our data? The easiest thing to do is to double click between the columns and make sure the width of each column is wide enough to contain all the data in one cell. So this is the data for my music collection, but it's not very obvious. It's kind of hidden in this corner that it's a music collection. What we can do to make it to stand out is by going to our home tab. In there we have a group called font, and in here we can make it bold by pressing on bold, or you can make it italic, you can underline it. I leave it as bold. You can change its background to yellow or other colors here as you wish, or you can leave it as no color, and you can change the color of the font. If you click, by default it's red, and you can choose again any other color, but still it's right in the corner. We want it to be spread out. So what you can do is to click on your cell A1 and hold your left mouse key and drag your cell all the way to the right until you cover cell D1. Leave your mouse left key, and then if you go to the alignment, here you can see a place called merge and center. If you click on it, it brings it right in the center, so it makes it more clear that all this information is for our music collection. You can also change by selecting alignment to the left, middle or right, but for this example, alignment in the middle makes it stand out. I'm gonna show you a couple of more tricks to make this data to stand out. First is to select all the columns by holding your left mouse key and dragging it so that all the columns are selected and they are become green. So now if you remember, when I double click between two columns, it fixed the width of one column. But if you select all the columns in this way and now double click in between two, it fixes all the columns width of all the columns that we selected. So the more tricks you know in Excel, the more fun it is to work with. So this is a concept called select to affect. In order to affect a cell or a group of cells, which is called range, you need to select them first. So if I go and select all the columns I've selected before, but this time I bring it between two columns and I increase its width as if I'm increasing the width of one column. But you can see here, it made it so that all the columns width becomes the same because I have selected all the columns and I've done as if I was doing only for one column. One thing that is not very clear here is what is the title of our data and what is our data. So if you select this row number 2, double click on that, then this entire row is selected. That's our title of our data. How to make it to stand out? We have to follow the same technique. We can change it to bold by clicking on bold, and also we can make it italic. Now it looks different than the actual data. Also we can select a range like this and then change the background color. So here you can see the standard colors. So choosing standard colors always helps. And another thing I would like always to do with my data is to select the range where the data is and select here, which is for borders, and select all borders. And now I think my data is quite complete. And when you print this data out, these borders that we have created would be printed. But anywhere where you see lines, as if there are vertical and horizontal lines, when you print this page, those lines would not be printed. Only the lines that we created by using borders would be printed. And this makes it much easier to read, and now is a more presentable data. I just want to summarize what we have learned in this tutorial. We learned that it's a workbook. A workbook is consisted of sheets or spreadsheets. Inside the spreadsheets, we have tabs. Each tab consists of ribbons, and each ribbon consists of groups. And inside the spreadsheet, we have columns and rows. Intersection of columns and rows is called cells. A group of cells is called range. And to do anything in Excel, you need to first select to effect. And also there are a lot of tips and tricks that if you learn, makes Excel much more interesting tool to work with. I hope now you learned the basics of Excel, and if you want to take your Excel to the next level, please watch my next video on intermediate Excel skill tips and tricks. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.